Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, cats and dogs, pre-ops and post-ops, can't leave y'all out, from an undisclosed location somewhere near you, beautiful downtown, wouldn't you like to know, my name is Matt Murdock, here to introduce to you the man of the hour, the man with the power, too sweet to be sour, who makes all the women scream and holler, makes everybody, I don't know what I did. He's the master blaster, the master of disaster, and the undisputed talk show champion of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Mandrake.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
You look like a reject from a Blues Brothers masquerade ball.
We can only try. I try to look my best every week for our vast audience out there.
All five of them.
In undisclosedville locations worldwide.
Yeah, beautiful.
Thank you very much for listening, audience.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Beautiful downtown, wouldn't you like to know, USA. All right.
Now, Don, we're in a lot of trouble here.
Oh, now see, you're doing this Don thing again, man. My name's Matt. Don's my evil friend.
We're in a lot of trouble here, Matt. And the reason why I'm calling you Don is because word has it that you are, in fact, the leader of a multi-million-dollar syndicate. And so you're known as Don Matt Olio. A little Italian blood in you, but I digress. We're in a lot of trouble this week.
I told one of our behind-the-scenes people, Nick, I was going to work this in. Here's a good time. I worry about you, man.
I know. You and a whole lot of other people worry about me. But please
Where
don't.
did you get this fantasy from?
Well, you know, I've heard it, Mr. Murdoch. It's been on the airwaves. I've been watching these conspiracy email websites, internet sites, and they talk a lot about speculation, where you may be from, who you really are, and what kind of organizations you may belong to. And that's why I'm trying to cater to them. This way we can throw them off.
Oh, okay.
It seems like last week we did a show
We'll go with that.
at an undisclosed location, if you recall correctly,
They're
Mr.
all
Murdoch.
from undisclosed locations.
Tonight we're at a different undisclosed location, the same as the last undisclosed location. And today we're going to talk about different things that have been pretty much on my mind. I'm not in a jocular mood, to put it quite bluntly.
Well, preach on it. Go ahead.
Well, to begin with, we have a new net neutrality and fairness doctrine that was passed by various fiat that says that the government now wants to take
people that make the cars.
No, fiat meaning people who want to issue edicts and circumvent the democratic process. So I'm surprised it didn't get a lot of news time on the television or on the radio.
Well, stories like this never do.
I mean, apparently the internet is now going to be regulated by the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC.
Yeah, we saw how well they did with radio and TV.
And we also saw how well they did with health insurance and various other government-run operations.
The FCC had nothing to do with that.
Well, I'm not talking about the Security Exchange Commission, which might actually have some value.
The SEC, okay.
Oh, yes. But now
Which is not to be confused with the Southeastern Conference in college football.
I was listening to
different SEC.
It sure is, but football is not our objective right now. We're not looking to sedate the masses with waste of time entertainment such as football, baseball, basketball. I hate all kinds of waste of time sports because for that matter, we have a lot of problems right now. People should not be packing sports arenas. They should be surrounding the White House and demanding that their elected officials stop turning this country into an overregulated fascist entity.
Not just the White House, but the whole shebang. I mean, Congress,
shebang?
All of them.
Well, that's a nice word. I haven't heard that in a while.
Because let's fix it. I mean, let's face it. Our government is broken.
It seems to be broken, but what I want
to blame it all on one branch is not fair because they're all screwed up.
Well,
tell the truth.
How many branches of government are there? Let's test your knowledge of politics. Name them, please.
They are the legislative, the executive, and the judicial.
Okay, now which branch of government is responsible for proposing and passing laws, meaning legislation?
That would be the legislative branch.
And how many members of the legislature are there?
Okay, well, depending on which one you're talking about. If you're talking about the House of Representatives, that would be 435.
Exactly correct.
And the Senate would be 100, two for each state.
Now that's correct. A lot of people don't know that at the lower level you have the House of Representatives. They are apparently presumed to be closer to the local communities, thereby they have the ear of their constituents. Am I right?
Well, on paper, that's the way it's supposed to work, but let's be honest, they have the ear of the lobbyist.
And the lobbyists are the guy with the real power. Why? Because the money bags guy is the guy that pays the piper, calls.
And see, that's
the tune.
And see, that's the real problem with our government. Forget about partisan gridlock. Get all this money out of it, and then maybe things will get done. I mean, isn't it supposed to be like, okay, just say like if you, Mr. Mandrake, you had a concern and you wanted to go to your local legislator to get something done about it, right? Mm-hmm. But you're not connected with any kind of lobbying firm. You don't have money, okay? And you're not even going to get looked at.
Well,
but if you were Lionel Mandrake lobbyist, you get shown right in the door.
Exactly.
Because you're greasing the palm.
But getting back to the Federal Communications Commission's negligence in having an open hearing on regulation of the internet. Now, all of you voters out there who elected Barack Hussein Obama, not once but twice, we're 6 years into his failed and I think very dangerous presidency, need to look at yourselves right now. We have a country whose power and prestige around the world is diminishing. We have a Middle Eastern crisis. We have Christians who are being murdered and abducted and raped, you name it, in the Middle East. A lot of it is because of failed foreign policy of this White House. Now, let us talk about regulation of your health insurance. I bet a lot of you liberals out there are very happy that you now are receiving large tax penalties for not having health insurance. And guess what? They don't even have a backup plan if the Supreme Court knocks down the health care mandate today. That's what Obama's chief health officials said. We don't have a plan B. So all you liberals out there, I hope you're getting what you deserve.
Okay.
And now your internet,
Your
internet is going to be regulated.
Time out. Okay, now you said there's no backup plan.
No.
That is true. There is no backup plan. But it's not only the liberal Democrats and Obamaites that don't have a backup plan. So far, we haven't seen a plan from the Republicans either. So nobody has a plan.
Well, wait a minute now. The person who's in charge of the health...
Don't push it all off on one side. Both sides are at fault.
What is the name of the agency that President Barack Hussein Obama had to create?
Can we cease what we all know what his middle name is.
All right, I agree with you 100% to my vast audience.
Why is it you right-wingers always insist on reminding us that his middle name is...
you're going to have to ask a right-winger because I'm very far from a right-winger. I'm a traditionalist.
Okay.
Okay. Now you middle-of-the-road libertarian quasi-liberals such as yourself, Mr. Murdoch.
Yes, another thing about you right-wingers. Anybody that's not on your side is a liberal.
Well, I'm on your side.
Thank you so much.
This is another trait.
I am a moderate.
This is another trait of the liberal left, turning on your comrades publicly.
See, the beauty about being a moderate is that you can see the BS being flung by both sides.
Now, if you can see the BS...
You right-wingers can't do that.
Well, you're branding me a right-winger. I told you a million times off the air and on the air. I'm more of a traditionalist-minded person. I don't care what anyone wants to do in the privacy of their own home. I don't care if people want to call themselves husband and husband or wife and wife or, cow and man or something like that. I mean, that doesn't concern me. What concerns me is that we're living in a nation that resembles nothing of what it was first created to be. A nation of the people, by the people, for the people.
We agree on that point, yeah.
Okay, so we're not that far from the middle, are we?
No.
We're not on opposite extremes, Mr. Murdoch.
No.
And I demand an on-air apology. I want you to look into that camera over there and apologize to Mr. Mandrake for your insidious character assassination. Otherwise, you're going to be on the unemployment.
Wise and wonderful one.
Thank you so much, Mr. Murdoch. Your apology, your extreme apology and self-flagellation is accepted. Now, look, let's not fight. There's enough dissent in this country.
Can't we all just get along?
In other words, even among two like-minded people such as Mr. Murdoch and myself, the Obama administration drags out the hatred. What is it about a nation divided against itself in such a way?
I don't know what it is.
What has created this dissent today?
I don't know what it is about the guy, but he's just... He
brings out the worst in me, I'll tell you that.
He's definitely polarizing. And we have touched on this before, both on and off the air. Things have gotten bad when even now the brothers have turned on him.
God. I don't think they were really very much on his side to begin with.
Now, let me clarify. Not the bourgeoisie blacks. I'm talking about the down and dirty, gritty...
There is such a thing as a bourgeoisie black?
Oh, yeah.
The bourgeoisie, that's the working class.
I got 2 words for you, Oprah. Okay.
Well,
Winfrey.
I think Oprah
Okay.
Winfrey is really more...
She's bourgeoisie. If there's any such thing as black bourgeoisie,
my understanding is that she's more of an elitist, not a bourgeoisie. I always thought the bourgeoisie was more the common man.
She could be, but let's put it this way. You ain't gonna see Oprah shopping at Western Beef, okay?
You know, speaking of Western beef and the prices of food, which leads again to the Obamonomics that we're all suffering under right now. People are complaining about their salaries.
Well, hold on. Let me finish the point I was gonna make, okay? Which is, okay, as far as the upper class blacks, Obama still got them. But see, I hear it out on the street all the time.
What do you hear? Because what I hear, I don't want to repeat on the air.
Especially the poor. Yeah, I'm with you on that. But the clean version is that when it comes to the poorer sections of the African American community, Obama has completely lost them, I'm telling you.
Now, what did he do to lose the black community's support amongst the working average folk out there?
Well, first of all, they're disappointed because they thought that Obama was going to be, being the first black president, that he was going to be the one that was going to lift everybody out of poverty.
Yeah, and out of their property. You had that right.
Yeah, and we're just as sad a shape as we were, when he took office back in 2008.
Right.
2009, right? He hasn't lifted up the black community, and then when you throw on top of that the support for gay marriage, which you and I,
which was a flip-flop, is what we both were discussing earlier.
Yeah, you and I have also discussed this, the fact that in the black community there is forget about conservative, evangelical, white Christians. We all know that they're not crazy about gay people, but compared to the black community, those folks are liberals. I'm telling you, that's how much vitriol there is in the black community against gays. Obama comes out and supported gay marriage, and that's it. He lost them.
Well, first of all, he flip-flopped 3 occasions. He said that he was not for the redefinition of marriage. He said that during his campaign and when he was running for re-election. I think it was after he had no further elections to run, he began to come out, I think for really purely partisan and political reasons, to support the idea of, same-sex homosexual marriages.
That might be part of it, but actually, as I recall, it was actually Joe Biden's fault.
How's that?
A lot of things are Joe Biden's fault.
Yeah, I know. He's been really putting his foot in his mouth lately.
He wasn't lately.
And he's also been feeling up a lot of the wives of the people who were appointed to various posts. Did you see the latest video of him?
Serial groper, yeah, exactly.
He was groping this year head of the, what is it called, the Defense Department. He was being sworn in. In the meantime, Joe Biden's behind his wife, both hands on each shoulder with a smirk on his face. The woman looks so uncomfortable.
I like little girls.
I tell you, I would have thrown my shoe at him if it were possible.
Now, what happened was, Obama was still kind of on the fence because, public pressure was mounting. And then Joe Biden made a speech saying that he was in favor of it. And then everybody was like, okay, well, if your vice president is for it, then what are you waiting for?
No, this is all orchestrated.
So he kind of like,
no, it's all orchestrated.
He kind of got forced into it.
We have to understand one thing about Uncle Joe Biden. And when I hear Uncle Joe, I automatically think of Joe Stalin because that's what this administration reminds me of. Uncle Joe Stalin Biden.
Everybody's a communist, y'all.
I'm not saying everybody's a communist, but this here administration does have a lot of tyrannical tendencies that you would associate with socialism. You've got to agree. Taking over the internet, taking over a huge portion of the U.S. economy in the form of a healthcare takeover, taking over other aspects of private, living, what you can eat, what you can drink, what you can and cannot say. A Justice Department where today there's going to be a resignation, I believe, and a new head of the Justice Department, and the outgoing fella. You know his name, don't you? Of the Justice Department, Eric Holder. Oh. Eric Holder today was making a lot of interesting comments on his way out the door, saying that he wants to make it a lot...
Time out, I forgot something.
Oh, it's very important. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the undisclosed location is very important to keep anonymity.
Okay, continue.
Gee, I'm glad you've noticed. Maybe the first half of the show already, 15 minutes into it, no one will notice what you really look like. Anyway, it was said that Eric Holder said that he's sorry worry, in fact, that it's a little too difficult to prove probable cause in cases that relate to, let us say, hate legislation. In other words, the Eric Holder case and the other case which involved police action and deaths against people. In order to persecute these people at the Justice Department level, you have to prove a civil rights violation. And he wants to lower the standard for proving and prosecuting and convicting somebody of this type of crime, of essentially a hate crime legislation. So you want to lower the bar? So you want to really probe into somebody's mind and say what they may or may not have been thinking during the commission of a chaotic event, of an attack, of let us say something that might have been a crime of passion, or let us say self-defense. You're going to say, I'm looking into this guy's mind, and he must have been thinking something other than what the evidence dictates. That's not a Justice Department. That is a thought crime control department.
Yeah, you remember the movie Minority Report, Tom Cruise?
I've heard of it, and I never watched it.
That's what we're heading toward.
Well, what is the idea of Minority Report in a nutshell?
Pretty much, okay, if it can be proven that you had the intent of committing a crime, if you're thinking about committing a crime, then you can be arrested and convicted for it. In a nutshell, it's pretty much.
But how did crimes that usually in the past involved actual hatred? Let us say I was in school and there was a fight between two students. One student says to the other student, I hate you, MFer. And the other student says, fine, I hate you more, MFer. So there's some degree of dislike, let us say maybe not hatred, but certainly passions are high. You're then going to read on the basis of what was said in a moment of, let us say, extreme duress or anger, something more than what was intended at the moment. This is thought control. This is why I say America is becoming less free in what we can say, what we're free to think, and eventually what we can watch on the internet. With this new legislation, there's going to be a department of the internet that is going to be regulating how fast everyone's internet has to be at a standard, how much it's going to cost, what kind of content can be broadcast on it, what kind of content that cannot be broadcast, which works in the favor of a Democratic Party because they're pretty fascist to begin with, wanting to tell everybody what they can think and what they can't think or say, so that they can control internet content. This is not necessarily a good thing, now, wouldn't you say, Mr. Murdoch?
What I say to that? Those of you who enjoy that J-Lo and Iggy Azalea video, Booty, watch it while you can.
Now, what is this with the booty thing? I'm trying to have a serious, intelligent conversation.
Hey, I'm working.
And we're talking about booty.
I'm working.
What does booty have to do with anything?
Into the context, because that is a somewhat risque video, and from what you're saying, and you're probably right, is that and that's kind of mild and tame compared to what's out there. But the thought police and the censors that want to regulate what everybody wants, can watch, stuff like that's going to be going
I would like one of our callers to call in at some point, and we're going to be putting up our phone number. Not this show because we're at a mobile location, so we're not able to be in any one place at any given time. But some people do know how to contact us to discuss such issues. I'd like to know what the average American citizen in this part of the undisclosed area that we're currently broadcasting from, what the viewers out there, the few viewers we may have right now, since we're in a very remote location, what you think about having your internet controlled right now. See, right now, you people out there, you dummies out there, don't understand one thing.
Oh, endear yourself to the audience.
You dummies out there who aren't getting enraged, you aren't picking up the pitchforks. You aren't picking up the pitchforks and the torches and marching on your local officials or something to protest this. You've fallen asleep and you're sitting there watching your sports shows, you're watching your reality TV shows, you're watching your pornography, and you're forgetting about what's really going on in the world. Your freedom has just been curtailed just that much more.
You care more about electing the next American Idol than you do the next American
I just want to tell these people out there, whoever may be watching, whether you like us or not, I want to tell you people out there, it always starts the same way. Small little legislation for the greater good, so everybody gets to pay $25 per internet. There's no difference. It always starts with cracking the door open, and then eventually there's going to be more rules, more regulation, more expenses, more control, and then more exclusion. We got
them to buy this. Now let's see if we can flip this in on them.
Well, that's how it happened. I mean, first it was, let us be tolerant of everybody who may or may not want to get married because they're of the same sex. Fine. We'll be tolerant of people who may be this way, no discrimination, fine. And then it slowly builds up into a redefinition of an age-old institution called marriage. All right? If this is what America, that's what this flag stands for, a nation that doesn't want to hold on to its traditions, hold on to sensible things like a definition of marriage, it wants to redefine everything. This is how a nation falls and collapses on itself. And it all starts with a little crack in something that becomes, a raging torrent. And this is what's going to happen. It's one thing after another. They're teaching things to your children in school that you may not even want to understand or be aware of. But this is what's slowly happening with the Common Core